Welcome to World Information HD, the channel where we uncover hidden treasures and unbelievable facts about rare coins from around the world. In today's video, we're diving deep into the top 15 most valuable and rare USA Jefferson nickel 5-cent coins worth millions. These ordinary-looking coins have shocked collectors with staggering auction prices and fascinating stories. So stay tuned till the end. You might just discover that one of these rare nickels is hiding right in your pocket. Today, we're going to uncover the mysterious story of this elusive nickel, how it came to be, what makes it so special, and how an unsuspecting 5-cent coin could secretly be worth a small fortune. The Jefferson nickel has a long and storied history that began in 1938, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel. Designed by sculptor Felix Schlag, it features a proud profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous Monticello home on the reverse. Over the decades, the nickel has remained one of the most familiar and enduring coins in circulation across the United States. Yet, not all nickels are created equal, and the 1975 no-mint marked Jefferson nickel proves that sometimes, the smallest details can hide the biggest treasures. Let's go back to the mid-1970s. The United States Mint was undergoing changes in coin production, trying to improve consistency, efficiency, and quality control. During 1975, three primary facilities were producing Jefferson nickels: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint had its own identifying mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and no mint mark for Philadelphia. So, at first glance, you might think a no mint mark coin automatically came from Philadelphia, and therefore it wouldn't be special. But here's where things get interesting. Not every 1975 no-mint mark nickel is the same. Some 1975 nickels struck in Philadelphia were made with exceptional precision, showing rare die varieties, deep strikes, or minting errors that set them apart from the millions of ordinary ones. A few examples show doubled dies, misaligned minting, or extraordinary luster that makes them highly desirable among collectors. And because no nickels were minted for proof sets in Philadelphia that year, certain circulation strikes with immaculate detail are considered semi-proof-like, adding another layer of rarity and excitement for numismatists. But there's another reason this coin became so fascinating to collectors. The 1975 Jefferson nickel sits right on the edge of one of the most transformative years in U.S. coinage, 1976, the bicentennial celebration. The U.S. Mint was preparing for the release of special commemorative designs for quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins in honor of America's 200th birthday. Because of this focus, production levels and die management for the 1975 nickels were somewhat neglected, leading to certain varieties being struck using worn dies or dies meant for earlier years. Some of these transitional nickels accidentally received features from previous die hubs, creating intriguing anomalies that make experts scratch their heads even today. Now, what truly captures collectors' imaginations are the hidden gems. The coins that slipped through quality control but later turned out to be unique. For instance, a small batch of 1975 no-mint marked Jefferson nickels exhibits a rare die crack running across Jefferson's cheek and jawline, almost like a scar. Others have full steps on the Monticello, which means that every step on the reverse building is completely visible and well struck. These full steps nickels are the crown jewels of the series, often selling for incredible amounts at auctions. To understand why full steps are so valuable, you need to know that the steps on Monticello are notoriously difficult to strike clearly. The design's fine lines are shallow and often blurred during the minting process. Only the best struck coins, those made with fresh dies and perfect pressure, show all the steps sharply defined. These are rare survivors in a sea of average coins. Collectors spend years searching for a true, full steps example, especially from years like 1975 when production quality was inconsistent. Now picture this: somewhere in a box of old coins, perhaps sitting in your grandfather's drawer or tucked away in a forgotten jar, there might be a 1975 no-mint marked Jefferson nickel with those perfect full steps, a flawless survivor of an era long past. Such a coin could easily catch the attention of professional graders and auction houses. When submitted to certification services like PCGS or NGC, A high-grade example can transform from a simple pocket change piece into a collector's dream worth thousands. One of the reasons collectors love the 1975 issue is its balance of accessibility and mystery. Unlike some rare coins that only exist in museums or elite private collections, this nickel can still occasionally turn up in circulation. The thrill of finding one is part of what keeps coin collecting alive. The idea that history might be resting quietly in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. The story of the Jefferson nickel is also a story of America itself, steady, familiar, and enduring through time. Since its debut, it has survived wars, economic changes, and countless design updates. Yet, even in its simplicity, each nickel carries the fingerprints of its era: the quality of the metal, the sharpness of the strike, the faint traces of the dyes used to mint it. The 1975 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel embodies this perfectly, representing a year of transition and subtle variation. Collectors have found that even among 1975 nickels from Philadelphia, there are micro-varieties, tiny differences in dye polish lines, minting pressure, and lettering shapes. Some have slight doubling in the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," which makes them even more appealing to specialists who study these microscopic quirks. These aren't mistakes in the traditional sense, but they're enough to make each coin slightly unique, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness often equals value. Beyond its rarity, the 1975 nickel also has historical charm. It was minted during a time of economic uncertainty, just after the United States left the gold standard and inflation was rising. Everyday Americans were beginning to see their coins as less about intrinsic value and more about national identity. So, holding a 1975 Jefferson nickel today feels like holding a fragment of that changing moment in history, a time when the country was redefining its economy, its symbols, and its sense of pride. The beauty of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, lies in how these small metallic discs tell enormous stories. Each coin has traveled, been exchanged, perhaps even dropped on a dusty sidewalk decades ago. Some were saved intentionally by sharp-eyed collectors, others simply got lucky and survived in pristine condition. When you hold a 1975 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel, you're not just holding money, you're holding history. For those new to collecting, it's important to understand that condition means everything. A worn or scratched 1975 nickel might only be worth its face value. But a coin in mint state condition, with clean surfaces, sharp details, and no signs of circulation, can fetch astonishing prices. When graded MS66 or higher by professional services, even an ordinary-looking nickel can surprise you with its worth. In recent years, collectors have begun paying closer attention to mid-1970s nickels, realizing that many have been overlooked. The 1975 no-mint mark issue, in particular, has seen rising demand as more people discover the nuances of the Jefferson series. Auction records show steady growth in value for high-grade specimens, especially those with full steps designations. And as with all rare coins, supply is limited, which means once collectors lock them away, they rarely return to the open market. Another reason for this coin's growing popularity is nostalgia. The mid-70s represented a simpler, transformative era in American life. A time before the digital age, when coins were still essential to everyday commerce. Collectors who grew up during that decade now seek to preserve a tangible piece of their youth, turning once common coins into cherished keepsakes. So how can you tell if your 1975 Jefferson nickel might be valuable? Start by checking its condition under good lighting. Look closely at Jefferson's face. Sharp details, clean edges, and minimal scratches are good signs. Then flip it over and examine the Monticello. If you can see all 5 or 6 steps clearly and unbroken, you might be looking at a full-step specimen. From there, consulting a reputable grading service can help determine its official grade and market value. Some rare varieties even show slight doubling around the date or letters. These doubling effects happen when the die shifts slightly during striking, leaving a faint shadow image. Next time, happy collecting. The year was 1977, a time of change, innovation, and transformation across the United States. But amidst the political shifts and technological advances, something small and metallic quietly rolled out of the Denver Mint that would later capture the attention of coin collectors everywhere: the 1977 Jefferson nickel. To most people, it was just another 5-cent piece used for bus fares, vending machines, or tucked away in a jar of spare change. But for the trained eye of a numismatist, this coin carries secrets, stories, and in some cases, a surprising amount of value that makes it far more than just pocket change. Welcome to World Information HD, where today, we dive deep into the history, design, minting process, and collector appeal of the 1977 Jefferson nickel, a coin that continues to fascinate treasure hunters and collectors across America. Let's start by turning back the clock. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and has remained one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin features the bust of Thomas Jefferson, America's third president and the author of the Declaration of Independence, on the obverse, and Jefferson's Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse. The Denver Mint struck millions of nickels every year, including the 1977 issue, yet not all of them are created equal. The 1977 Jefferson nickel was minted in massive numbers, over 297 million pieces to be exact. But even among those hundreds of millions, a few rare and unusual examples have stood out, becoming incredibly valuable in today's numismatic market. While most of these coins remain common in circulation and worth only face value, certain ones with perfect condition, striking errors, or unique variations have fetched astounding sums in auctions. To understand what makes the 1977 nickel special, we first need to look at its composition and characteristics. Like most nickels from that era, it's made up of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a durable combination designed to withstand decades of handling. The obverse displays Jefferson's familiar left-facing portrait with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," followed by the year 1977. Just beside the date, you can find the letter D, marking it as a product of the Denver Mint. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the image of Monticello, Jefferson's stately home in Virginia, along with the words, "E pluribus unum, United States of America," and the denomination, 5 cents. The artistry of Felix Schlag's design has stood the test of time, but subtle differences in die usage, strike quality, and preservation make a massive difference in value. Now, what really gets collectors excited about the 1977 Jefferson nickel are the small details, the minute imperfections that turn ordinary coins into treasures. Mint errors and die varieties are where the real money hides. For instance, coins struck with misaligned dies, double strikes, or off-center impressions can transform a 5-cent coin into something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most fascinating varieties collectors look for is the full steps designation, often abbreviated as FS. This refers to the sharp detail on the steps of Monticello on the reverse side. To earn the full steps label from grading services like PCGS or NGC, all 6 steps must be fully visible and sharply defined. Because the Denver Mint often struggled with strike quality in the 1970s, a genuine 1977 nickel with full steps is exceptionally rare and highly prized. Imagine that, 2 coins minted on the very same day, yet one worth just 5 cents, while the other could command hundreds or even thousands depending on its condition. That's the magic of coin collecting. But condition is everything. Grading plays a crucial role in determining a coin's worth. A well-circulated 1977 nickel found in everyday change may show heavy wear, flattened details, and surface scratches, worth only its face value. But a mint-state example, especially one graded MS-65 or higher, begins to enter the realm of serious collector interest. Coins with flawless luster, sharp details, and little to no handling marks are exceedingly scarce because most nickels from that year were not saved or collected at the time. To put it simply, finding a pristine example of the 1977 Jefferson nickel today is like discovering a time capsule, a piece that escaped decades of pockets, cash registers, and coin rolls. Now, let's talk about the rare errors that make this coin even more intriguing. Some 1977 nickels were struck on improperly prepared planchets, meaning the blank metal discs were flawed before the design was pressed. These planchet errors might show cracks, lamination peels, or missing metal sections. Others exhibit die cracks, raised lines across the surface where the minting die itself had fractured during use. These small quirks might seem like flaws, but to collectors, they're what make each coin unique and historically significant. There are also known off-center strikes, where the design appears shifted toward one edge, leaving part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the shift, the rarer and more valuable the piece becomes. Some collectors have even reported double die adverse examples, where Jefferson's face or inscriptions appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. These are extremely sought after and can command premium prices at auction. But how do you tell if your 1977 D nickel is valuable? The first step is to examine it carefully under good lighting. Look at the steps of Monticello. Are they crisp and fully formed? Check Jefferson's cheek and hair for wear. Does the surface have original mint luster, or does it appear dull and worn? Then, check for any oddities, doubling, cracks, or unusual metal textures. If you suspect your coin may be rare, it's worth having it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. Authentication and encapsulation not only confirm its legitimacy but can dramatically increase its market appeal. Collectors also look for coins with strong eye appeal, meaning they have rich, original toning or attractive color patterns from natural oxidation. Some 1977 D nickels display rainbow hues of gold, violet, and blue, making them not just valuable, but stunningly beautiful as well. It's fascinating to think that a coin minted for everyday use, for coffee, bus rides, or payphones, could one day be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars simply because of how perfectly it was struck or preserved. That's why the Jefferson nickel series has such enduring popularity. It's accessible, affordable to start collecting, yet full of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Over the years, coin enthusiasts have shared stories of discovering valuable 1977 D nickels in ordinary pocket change. Some found them while searching bank rolls, others stumbled upon them in old family coin jars. In every case, the excitement of finding a potential gem among the ordinary is what keeps collectors searching. The thrill of the hunt is what makes numismatics one of the most rewarding hobbies in the world. Even though the 1977 D nickel doesn't carry precious metal content like silver or gold, its numismatic value lies in rarity, condition, and collector demand. As time passes, high-grade examples continue to disappear into private collections, making them harder to find and more valuable to those who appreciate their history. So the next time you're sorting through your spare change, don't overlook the humble nickel. It might seem insignificant, but hidden among the millions are those extraordinary survivors, coins that tell a story of America's craftsmanship, its minting history, and the fine details that separate the common from the exceptional. If you're new to collecting, start by learning the basics of coin grading, handling, and storage. Use gloves when examining uncirculated coins, and never clean a coin, as it can drastically reduce its value. Instead, keep it in a protective holder or slab to preserve its luster and protect it from scratches or tarnish. Over time, even modern nickels like the 1977 D can become rare relics of history, cherished by future generations. Every coin minted carries the mark of its era, the political shifts, the technology used, and even the quality of materials reflect the spirit of its time. In 1977, the U.S. Mint was modernizing, yet it was still working with traditional techniques that left room for tiny human and mechanical imperfections. Those imperfections are now what make these coins so collectible. The Jefferson nickel, despite being one of the most produced coins in U.S. history, continues to surprise collectors. From full steps rarities to fascinating minting errors, the 1977 D issue stands as a reminder that even the smallest objects can hold immense value when history, craftsmanship, and rarity intersect. Collectors and investors alike often say that coins are tiny time machines, small pieces of metal that travel through decades, connecting the past to the present. Welcome to World Information HD, your ultimate destination for uncovering the hidden treasures and fascinating stories behind America's rare coins. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet surprisingly valuable coins in U.S. history, the 1980-60 mint-marked Jefferson nickel, a humble 5-cent piece that has shocked collectors with its hidden worth. So sit back, grab your magnifying glass, and let's explore every secret, every detail, and every twist that makes this coin a potential jackpot sitting unnoticed in millions of collections, drawers, and change jars across the nation. The Jefferson nickel has long been a staple of American coinage, introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features a dignified portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, the third President of the United States, and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse. Over the decades, billions of these coins have been minted, but not all nickels are created equal. Some, like the 1980-60 mint-marked Jefferson nickel, hold a mysterious value that far surpasses their humble denomination of 5 cents. But why? What makes this particular nickel so intriguing? Let's uncover the answer layer by layer. The 1986 Jefferson nickel was struck at two major mints, Philadelphia, which bears no mint mark, and Denver, which is represented by a small D mint mark located just to the right of Monticello on the reverse side. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of nickels that year, around 459 million to be exact. With such a massive mintage, it might seem impossible that any of these coins could be worth a fortune. Yet, that's exactly what makes the discovery of rare varieties, errors, and pristine conditions so extraordinary. Out of those hundreds of millions, only a few stand apart, either because of minting mistakes, unique dye varieties, or immaculate preservation that defies time itself. To truly appreciate the potential value of the 1980-60 Jefferson nickel, we must first understand what collectors and grading experts look for. Every coin tells a story, and condition is a major part of that tale. The higher the grade, the sharper the details, and the fewer scratches or marks on the surface, the more desirable the coin becomes. Coins graded mint state, MS, by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are the crown jewels of collections. These coins have never been in circulation. They've been preserved straight from the mint in flawless condition. Finding a 1980-60 Jefferson nickel in mint state 67 or 68 is exceedingly rare, which is where its true value begins to skyrocket. But mint condition alone doesn't explain everything. Some 1980-60 nickels exhibit unusual characteristics: double dyes, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other fascinating mint errors. These errors occur when something goes wrong during the striking process. Maybe the die shifts slightly, maybe the planchet isn't perfectly aligned, or maybe a small piece of metal is missing. To the average eye, these imperfections might look like simple damage, but to coin experts, they represent one-of-a-kind anomalies that can multiply the value of a coin by thousands of dollars. Imagine finding a 1980-60 Jefferson nickel where the lettering on Monticello, or E pluribus unum, appears doubled, or where Jefferson's profile looks slightly shadowed because of a double die obverse. These varieties are incredibly rare, but they exist, and collectors are always on the hunt for them. Similarly, off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, or broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal rim, can transform a common coin into a collector's dream piece. Then there are full steps. The full steps designation is one of the most sought-after features in the Jefferson nickel series. It refers to the clarity and sharpness of the steps on Monticello's front. A coin with 5 or 6 fully visible steps indicates a perfectly struck coin with crisp details. However, achieving this level of precision is difficult because of the minting process. Dyes wear down quickly, and metal flow during striking often blurs the finer details. As a result, a 1980-60 Jefferson nickel with full steps is extremely hard to find and highly desirable. Collectors have paid surprising amounts for these coins at auctions. Even though the 1980-60 nickel is relatively modern, it's gaining respect among numismatists due to the scarcity of top-grade examples and the increasing interest in Jefferson nickels as a collectible series. Over time, more people have realized that coins from the 1980s, once thought too new to be valuable, are actually becoming harder to find in untouched condition. The fascinating part about the 1980-60 Jefferson nickel is that it represents a transitional era in U.S. coin production. The mid-1980s marked improvements in minting technology, but not perfection. The Denver Mint was producing coins with modern machinery, yet even the smallest imperfections escaped unnoticed, leading to varieties and minor errors that are today worth a fortune to the trained eye. This was also a time before widespread coin roll searching became popular, meaning many of these coins were overlooked and quietly slipped into circulation. Imagine someone spending one of these rare nickels on a cup of coffee in 1986, completely unaware that decades later, collectors would be scouring rolls, drawers, and estate sales to find it. It's a reminder that history often hides in plain sight, sometimes in the form of a small 5-cent coin. Let's look deeper into what exactly to check if you suspect you might have one of these hidden treasures. Start with the mint mark. You should see a small D on the reverse, next to Monticello. Then, inspect the steps of Monticello under good lighting. Can you clearly count all 5 or 6 lines? If so, you may be looking at a full step specimen, which can dramatically increase the coin's value. Next, check the fields, the flat areas of the coin, and Jefferson's face for scratches, contact marks, or dullness. A clean, shiny surface with sharp detail means you could be holding a higher mint state grade. If your coin appears to have a doubled image, missing elements, or strange edges, it may have a mint error, one of the biggest value boosters in numismatics. Always have such coins verified by a professional grading service like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. They provide certification and authentication, which are essential if you ever want to sell your coin to serious collectors or at auction. Another thing to consider is toning. Some coins develop beautiful natural colors over time, hues of blue, gold, purple, and red caused by the metal reacting to its environment. While some collectors prefer brilliant untoned coins, others pay premium prices for vibrant, naturally toned examples. If your 1986 D nickel displays attractive rainbow toning, that's another layer of rarity that could enhance its appeal and market value. As with most collectibles, rarity plus demand equals value. The number of pristine, error-free, full-step 1986 D Jefferson nickels is limited, but the number of people collecting nickels is growing. This combination pushes prices higher with every passing year. Coin dealers report that Jefferson nickels, especially those from the 1980s and earlier, are becoming harder to source in perfect condition. Many have been worn down in circulation or damaged over time, reducing the overall supply of top-quality coins. It's also worth noting that Jefferson nickels have been a favorite series for collectors because they offer a mix of historical significance, artistic design, and attainable value. Unlike some rarer series that require a fortune to complete, the Jefferson nickel set allows both beginners and experts to participate, searching for high-grade or error examples like the 1986 D. This accessibility has made the series one of the most actively traded and studied in the numismatic world. If you ever come across a 1986 D nickel in exceptional condition, don't underestimate it. Even if it looks ordinary, it might hide a hidden gem of detail that could make it worth far more than 5 cents. Get it appraised, examine it closely, and treat it like a piece of American history, because that's exactly what it is. The story of the 1986 D Jefferson nickel is more than just about metal and money, it's about discovery and patience. It's about the thrill of finding something extraordinary in the ordinary. Every collector dreams of the moment they uncover a rare coin, that small, shining piece of history that has survived decades, traveled through countless hands, and now rests in yours, holding a secret value that few can see. So the next time you find a handful of change, take a moment before spending it. Look closely at those nickels, especially if you see that little D mark on the back. The 1986 D Jefferson nickel might be there, quietly waiting for someone to notice its brilliance. You never know. It could be your lucky day, your moment of discovery, the day you find a small fortune disguised as 5 cents. Welcome back to World Information HD, the place where coins tell stories, and every nickel could hide a secret worth thousands. Today, we're diving deep into the world of American coinage history to uncover the fascinating tale of the United States of America 1987 D mint marked Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent piece that many collectors often overlook, but which hides a value far greater than its face suggests. So sit tight, because by the end of this video, you'll see your pocket change in a whole new light. Let's start from the beginning, the late 1980s. It was a time when the American Mint was producing billions of coins each year, flooding the economy with modern nickel designs that would become everyday change for millions. But in that mountain of metal, in 1987, something unique happened. A batch of Jefferson nickels struck in Denver carried subtle yet fascinating details that would go unnoticed by most people for decades. The 1987 Jefferson nickel follows the same design that had been in circulation for nearly half a century. The portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, facing left, designed by Felix Schlag, and his beloved Monticello home on the reverse. At first glance, it's just another ordinary coin, a simple piece of metal worth 5 cents. But as every coin collector knows, the value of a coin lies not only in its age but in its story, in the mint errors, die varieties, and historical significance that make it stand out from the billions produced. Now, the D Mint mark you see just beside Jefferson's portrait stands for the Denver Mint, one of the most active mints in the country. In 1987 alone, the Denver Mint struck over 400 million Jefferson nickels. That's right, hundreds of millions. So how could one of them be worth thousands of dollars today? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and those mysterious minting quirks that only sharp-eyed collectors ever notice. Let's talk about the minting process. Every coin starts its life as a simple blank, called a planchet. These blanks are fed into massive presses that strike the image of Jefferson and Monticello onto the metal with incredible force. But every so often, something goes wrong. Maybe the dies are misaligned. Maybe a planchet slips, cracks, or gets double-struck. Sometimes, even the tiniest imperfection can create a one-of-a-kind coin that collectors dream of finding. In the case of the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel, several such anomalies have surfaced over the years. One of the most talked about errors involves the die clash, a phenomenon that occurs when the coin dies strike each other without a planchet between them. This leaves ghostly impressions of the design from one side of the coin faintly visible on the other. Imagine looking at Jefferson's portrait and seeing traces of Monticello's dome peeking through the background. That's a die clash error, and it's among the most prized features of certain 1987 D nickels. Another fascinating variant involves the off-center strike. In this error, the coin is not properly aligned during striking, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a blank crescent of metal along one edge. The more dramatic the misalignment, the higher the value, especially if both the date and the mint mark remain visible. Collectors love off-center errors because they clearly show the chaos behind the scenes at the mint, a moment where precision faltered and created something rare. Then there are double die errors. These are caused when the design is imprinted twice onto the die at slightly different angles. The result is a doubling effect on the text, numbers, or design elements. On the 1987 D nickel, doubled lettering in Liberty, or In God We Trust, has been reported, and such pieces often fetch impressive prices at auctions. But beyond errors, another key factor that determines value is condition. Coin collectors grade coins on a scale from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70. A circulated 1987 D nickel you find in your pocket might only be worth face value. But if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, with its original luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear, it becomes a treasure. Mint state coins, especially those graded MS65 or higher, can attract serious attention from collectors and investors alike. Some 1987 D nickels even display a rare, full steps designation on Monticello. If you look closely at the steps on the reverse side of the coin, right at the base of the building, you'll notice 5 or 6 horizontal lines. On most coins, these steps appear weak or worn due to strike pressure or die wear. But on exceptionally well-struck coins, every line appears crisp and distinct. Such coins are awarded the coveted full steps FS designation by grading authorities like PCGS and NGC. Full steps nickels are significantly rarer and far more valuable than their regular counterparts. Now imagine combining these elements: a perfectly preserved 1987 D Jefferson nickel in mint state 67 or higher, with a full steps designation, and possibly a striking error. You've got a coin that transcends its ordinary appearance and enters the realm of collectible masterpieces. Over the years, professional grading services have certified a handful of high-grade 1987 D nickels, and when they appear at auctions, they create quite a buzz. Collectors from around the world compete fiercely to add such specimens to their collections. It's not uncommon for bidding wars to break out, especially when the coin has exceptional eye appeal, sharp strikes, and pristine surfaces. Now, let's step back for a moment and appreciate the artistry of the Jefferson nickel. The design, created by Felix Schlag in 1938, was chosen through a national competition. Schlag's vision was not only to honor Jefferson's legacy but to reflect the dignity and refinement of early American architecture through Monticello's image. Even though the design saw minor changes over the decades, the 1987 version still carries that same essence, a perfect blend of art, history, and national pride. Collectors also love coins like this because they serve as time capsules, small pieces of history that connect us to the past. Think about it. This 1987 D. Jefferson nickel has been in circulation for nearly 4 decades. It might have passed through thousands of hands, been used to buy coffee, candy, or payphone calls, and yet, one of these simple nickels could now be worth more than an entire bag of coins. That's the magic of numismatics, the art and science of collecting coins. Many collectors recommend keeping an eye out for 1987 D nickels in your pocket change or old coin jars at home. You might think of nickels as common, but it's those common coins that often hide the rarest surprises. The Denver Mint's output in 1987 was massive, but perfect strikes or error-free coins with full steps are remarkably uncommon. And that scarcity is what drives their value sky-high. If you happen to come across one, here's what you can do. First, handle it carefully, preferably by the edges and not the surface, since fingerprints can permanently damage its finish. Second, inspect it under good lighting and magnification. Look for sharp details on Jefferson's hair, clear steps on Monticello, and any signs of doubling, misalignment, or die cracks. Finally, if you suspect you've found a special one, consider having it graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. A professional grade can turn a casual find into a certified collectible worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And while we're on the subject of grading, it's worth noting that the difference between an MS-64 and an MS-66 coin can mean hundreds of dollars in value. The slightest imperfection, a nick, a scratch, or a dull luster, can make or break a coin's price. That's why experienced collectors store their coins in protective holders, away from moisture and air, to preserve their condition over time. Now let's talk about one of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting, the emotional connection. Many collectors describe the thrill of discovering an unusual coin as pure excitement. Imagine finding a 1987 D. Jefferson nickel in your old change jar, and realizing that what you thought was an ordinary coin could actually be a rare gem worth a small fortune. It's that feeling of uncovering hidden history, of holding something special that survived the decades, that keeps people hooked on this hobby. But even if your 1987 D nickel isn't rare or error-struck, it still has value in the story it tells. It's a representation of an era when America was transitioning from analog to digital, from the Reagan years into a new technological age. This coin witnessed the tail end of the Cold War, the rise of the home computer, and the dawn of modern America as we know it. Holding one is like holding a tiny piece of that era's spirit in your hand. So the next time. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where history, mystery, and money come together to reveal the hidden treasures hiding right under our noses. Today, we're diving deep into the story of one of the most fascinating and often overlooked coins in United States history, the 1998 P. Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. This small piece of metal, often passed through hands unnoticed, holds secrets that could surprise even the most experienced collectors. By the end of this video, you'll realize why you might want to take a closer look at your change jar, because one of these ordinary-looking nickels could actually be worth a small fortune. Now, the Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American coinage for more than 8 decades. Introduced in 1938, it replaced the beloved Buffalo nickel, and it has featured the face of one of America's most iconic founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, ever since. Designed by Felix Schlag, this coin not only honored Jefferson's contribution to the nation but also became a lasting symbol of American craftsmanship and design. But as time passed, the minting process evolved, new mint marks were introduced, and special editions and rare errors began to capture the attention of collectors worldwide. The 1998 P. Jefferson nickel might seem ordinary to the casual observer. But behind its modest appearance lies a story that reveals how even the smallest imperfections and variations can transform a common coin into a rare collectible masterpiece. Minted in Philadelphia, these nickels carry the P. mint mark, and while millions were produced that year, a select few exhibit characteristics that make them incredibly valuable today. To understand why some 1998 P. Jefferson nickels stand out, we need to explore what was happening at the U.S. Mint during that period. In the late 1990s, the mint was transitioning between traditional engraving techniques and more modern die-making technologies. During this time, inconsistencies in die pressure, metal quality, and even slight misalignments could result in unique minting errors. Most of these were so subtle that they went unnoticed for years, circulating across the country without anyone realizing their hidden worth. One of the most sought-after types of error in the 1998 P. Jefferson nickel is the doubled die error, where certain parts of the coin appear slightly doubled, especially noticeable in the inscriptions. "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date 1998. This doubling effect happens when the die imprints the coin more than once, slightly off from the original strike. Collectors go crazy for this type of error because it's not something that can be replicated easily, and it adds an unmistakable uniqueness to the coin. Another fascinating error to watch for in the 1998 P. nickel series is the off-center strike. Imagine a coin where the design is shifted to one side, leaving a crescent of blank space on the other. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, the value can skyrocket. Even a small percentage of off-centering can make a coin desirable to collectors. But if it's dramatically misaligned while still showing the date and mint mark clearly, you might just be holding a mini goldmine in your hands. Then there are die cracks and cuds, terms that might sound strange but are like music to the ears of coin enthusiasts. A die crack appears when the minting die, which presses the design onto the coin, starts to fracture. This results in raised lines or ridges across the coin's surface. A cud, on the other hand, occurs when a chunk of the die breaks away completely, leaving a blank, blob-like area on the coin. Each of these flaws is unique, like a fingerprint, and they tell a story about what was happening in the mint at the exact moment that coin was born. But not all valuable 1998 P nickels owe their worth to minting errors. Some coins are valuable simply because of their condition. Coins that have remained untouched, free from scratches, and still shine with their original mint luster are known as mint state coins. These are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, with 70 being a perfect coin that shows no signs of wear or handling even under magnification. A 1998 P. Jefferson nickel graded MS67 or higher can fetch a stunning price, especially if it displays sharp details and full steps on Monticello, Jefferson's home, depicted on the reverse side. Collectors often refer to the term full steps when describing the Monticello building on the back of the coin. If the steps leading up to Monticello are completely visible and sharply defined, it indicates that the coin was struck with extraordinary precision and has remained in pristine condition ever since. Only a handful of 1998 P nickels with full steps exist in such a high grade, which makes them incredibly desirable for those aiming to complete a perfect Jefferson nickel set. Let's take a closer look at the design details of the 1998 P Jefferson nickel. On the obverse, we have Thomas Jefferson's profile facing left, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," curving around his portrait, along with the date 1998. The P mint mark sits proudly next to the date, signifying that it was minted in Philadelphia. On the reverse, we see the elegant image of Monticello, Jefferson's famous home in Virginia, with the inscriptions, "E pluribus unum, United States of America," and 5 cents. The artistry of the Jefferson nickel lies not just in its design but in the message it carries, a symbol of American innovation, liberty, and endurance. Each coin tells a story of the era in which it was made. And in 1998, the United States was experiencing economic prosperity and technological growth. It was a time of optimism, yet even then, hidden among billions of coins, were a few anomalies destined to become historical treasures. Now, here's something many people don't know. Even though 1998 nickels were produced in massive numbers, quality control issues and subtle variations make certain examples far more valuable than others. Some collectors have reported finding coins with an unusual die rotation, where the front and back designs don't align perfectly. When you flip the coin over, instead of the reverse being upright, it appears tilted or upside down, and that tiny twist can turn an ordinary coin into a high-demand collectible. Another interesting feature to look for is planchet errors. This happens when the blank metal disc used to create the coin, called the planchet, is flawed before it's even struck. These could include clipped planchets, where a small portion of the coin is missing from the edge, or improperly alloyed planchets, where the metal composition results in strange colors or textures. A 1998 P. Jefferson nickel with a planchet error not only becomes a conversation piece but also commands impressive prices at auctions. Speaking of auctions, the world of coin collecting has exploded in recent years. Social media, online marketplaces, and YouTube channels like this one have brought new energy to the hobby. What was once considered an old-fashioned pastime has now become a global hunt for hidden wealth. Every day, more and more people are realizing that they might be sitting on rare coins without even knowing it. Collectors and treasure hunters alike are scouring their coin jars, checking their pocket change, and exploring estate sales, hoping to stumble upon that one rare piece that could change everything. And among the coins that consistently spark interest, the Jefferson nickel holds a special place because it's affordable to collect yet full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. You might be wondering, how can I tell if my 1998 P. Jefferson nickel is valuable? The first step is to inspect it carefully under good lighting. Look for any signs of doubling, off-centering, cracks, or missing details. If your coin looks unusual or stands out in any way, it might be worth sending it to a professional grading service for evaluation. Even if it's not an error coin, if it's in exceptionally good condition, it could still be worth more than you think. It's also important to store your coins properly. Keep them away from moisture, oils, and extreme temperatures. Use protective holders or flips made of non-reactive materials to preserve their shine and detail. A single scratch or fingerprint can reduce a coin's grade and value significantly. In the numismatic world, rarity and condition walk hand in hand. A coin might be rare, but if it's badly damaged or worn, its value will drop. On the other hand, even a relatively common coin can become valuable if it's in near-perfect condition or features a unique error. That's what makes collecting coins so exciting. Every find is a mystery waiting to be solved. So the next time you receive change at a store or dig through an old coin jar, pay close attention to your nickels. Look for the date 1998 and the P mint mark. Examine the coin carefully. You never know what you might discover. Welcome to World Information HD, your ultimate destination for exploring the hidden treasures of American coins, the fascinating stories behind them, and the unbelievable values they can hold today. In this video, we're diving deep into a coin that many collectors overlook, the 2003 P. Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it looks just like the coins we use every day, but what if I told you that some of these nickels could be worth a surprising fortune? You might have one sitting unnoticed in your coin jar, purse, or tucked away in a drawer, and it could be worth far more than its 5-cent face value. Let's travel back to the year 2003, a time when the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of Jefferson nickels, featuring the classic image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. To most people, these coins were ordinary pocket change. But for numismatists, coin collectors and enthusiasts, the 2003 P. Jefferson nickel represents something much more fascinating. It's a coin that blends history, design evolution, and hidden minting mysteries that make it a captivating piece for collectors around the world. Now, to appreciate this nickel fully, let's start by exploring its design, the minting details, and the little-known factors that can turn this simple coin into a collector's dream. The obverse of the 2003 P. Jefferson nickel displays the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, originally designed by Felix Schlag in 1938. This image has graced the coin for decades, symbolizing Jefferson's legacy as one of America's founding fathers and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Around his portrait, the inscriptions read, "In God we trust, liberty," and the year 2003. The reverse side, equally iconic, features Jefferson's famous home, Monticello, a neoclassical masterpiece that's as symbolic of American heritage as Jefferson himself. Above it, you'll find the word E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one, a timeless motto that defines the unity of the United States. Below the building sits the denomination, 5 cents, and United States of America. But what makes the 2003 Philadelphia minted nickel special is not just its appearance, it's the mint mark, P, which indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. While millions of these nickels rolled off the presses, only a few possessed the rare minting errors, die varieties, and pristine conditions that elevate their value into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In numismatics, condition is king. A 2003 P. Jefferson nickel in circulated condition, meaning one that has been used in everyday transactions, is typically worth its face value. However, if you happen to find one in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially one graded by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, the value can rise significantly. Let's talk about why that happens. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, known as the Sheldon scale. A score of 70 represents a perfect, flawless coin, one with no marks, scratches, or signs of wear even under magnification. For the 2003 P. Jefferson nickel, examples graded MS-67 or higher are extremely scarce. These are the nickels that collectors chase after because they showcase perfect striking, clean surfaces, and stunning luster. But condition isn't the only factor that can make a 2003 P. nickel worth a fortune. Minting errors, unintentional mistakes that occur during production, can transform an ordinary coin into a rare gem. These errors can include double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and even wrong planchet errors, where a nickel is accidentally struck on a coin blank intended for another denomination. Each type of error adds a unique character and rarity to the coin, which can skyrocket its market value. Imagine finding a 2003 P. Jefferson nickel with a noticeable die crack running across Jefferson's face or through the Monticello building. Such coins have fetched high prices in auctions due to their distinctive features. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted due to a misalignment, are also highly desirable. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. Even subtle errors, like doubled dies, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated due to a misalignment of the die during minting, can raise the value significantly. Let's also talk about the composition of this coin. The 2003 Jefferson nickel is made from a copper-nickel alloy, specifically 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 5 grams and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter. While its metal content isn't inherently valuable, it's the historical context and minting precision that make it collectible. Interestingly, the design of this nickel represents the end of an era, as it was among the last before the U.S. Mint introduced the Westward Journey nickel series in 2004. That means the 2003 issue is one of the final examples of the traditional Jefferson Monticello design used for over 6 decades, adding an extra layer of significance for collectors. When studying 2003 P. Jefferson nickels, experts often look for full steps on the Monticello building, a feature that distinguishes high-quality strikes from the rest. The steps on the building, just above the word Monticello, are a detail that's easily lost during the striking process. A coin with fully visible and sharply defined steps, known as a full steps or FS nickel, can be dramatically more valuable. For a 2003 P nickel with perfect full steps and pristine luster, collectors are willing to pay impressive sums. Now, let's look into the numbers. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous mintage of 361,440,000 Jefferson nickels in 2003. That's over 361 million coins, which might make you think that rarity is out of the question. But here's the twist. While the total number is large, the number of coins that remain in top condition, free of even the tiniest blemishes, is extremely small. Most nickels went straight into circulation, were handled roughly, and developed scratches, nicks, and dull surfaces. Only a handful survived in nearly perfect condition, sealed away in coin rolls or sets, untouched by time. This is why professional grading matters. A collector who sends their 2003 P. Jefferson nickel to a grading service and receives an MS-67 or higher designation can see their coin's value jump from a few cents to hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. The beauty, luster, and flawless preservation of such a coin make it a centerpiece in any Jefferson nickel collection. The thrill of coin collecting lies in moments like these, discovering that something so ordinary could be hiding incredible value. Many coin enthusiasts recall stories of finding rare coins in pocket change or inherited collections, realizing later that they owned a valuable piece of history. The 2003 P. Jefferson nickel is one such coin that continues to surprise collectors with its hidden potential. If you want to check whether your 2003 P. nickel is special, start by examining it closely under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. Look for any unusual markings, doubling, or striking errors. Check the Monticello steps. Are they fully detailed and sharp? Then, assess the coin's overall condition. If it looks fresh from the mint, with no scratches or wear, it might be worth having professionally graded. Even minor variations in design, such as differences in die polishing or small imperfections, can make your coin more valuable. Auction houses and online marketplaces like eBay often list these nickels, and rare examples have sold for impressive sums. Collectors always seek out coins that represent the highest quality of their type, especially when those coins come from a common year like 2003. The rarity lies not in how many were made, but in how few remain in perfect condition today. And while you might think that only old coins can be valuable, that's not always true. Modern coins, especially those with exceptional mint quality or rare errors, can fetch stunning prices. The 2003 P. Jefferson nickel stands as a perfect example of that, a modern coin, still relatively young in numismatic terms, yet capable of astonishing collectors with its worth. As we close this exploration, remember that every coin tells a story of history, craftsmanship, and sometimes pure luck. The 2003 P. Jefferson nickel embodies all three. From its representation of American heritage through Jefferson and Monticello, to its role as one of the final classic designs before modernization, it remains a must-have for any serious collector. So, the next time. Welcome to World Information HD, where we uncover the hidden treasures of American coinage and reveal how ordinary-looking coins in your pocket could actually be worth a small fortune. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Jefferson nickels, focusing on one particular year and mint mark that has surprised collectors with its rarity and unique characteristics. The United States of America 2017 D mint mark Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. Now, at first glance, a 2017 D Jefferson nickel might seem far too modern to be worth much more than its face value of 5 cents. But as we've learned time and time again, it's not always about age, it's about errors, condition, rarity, and minting mysteries that can transform a simple coin into a collector's dream. And believe it or not, even this relatively new nickel has already made headlines among numismatists and coin hunters for some fascinating reasons. Let's begin with a little background on what makes Jefferson nickels so iconic in American history. Introduced in 1938, these coins replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse side proudly displays Jefferson's historic home, Monticello, a symbol of architecture, leadership, and American heritage. Fast forward to 2017. The Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, produced millions of these nickels for circulation. But not every coin that left the Denver Mint that year was identical. Some bore tiny differences that only the trained eyes of collectors could detect, subtle variations that would eventually separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. The 2017 D Jefferson nickel stands out for several reasons. First, collectors have found a number of fascinating die errors from this year. Minting errors happen when the machinery used to strike coins malfunctions or when planchets, the blank metal discs before striking, are misaligned, improperly fed, or flawed. These mistakes create coins that deviate from standard production, and those deviations make them valuable. One of the most talked about varieties from the 2017 Jefferson nickel series is the die clash error. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between. The result? Ghost-like impressions of design elements from one side appearing faintly on the other. When collectors find one of these error nickels in good condition, its uniqueness instantly boosts its worth far beyond face value. Another rare and intriguing find is the off-center strike. In these cases, the coin isn't perfectly centered when it's struck by the dies, leading to an uneven image. Some off-center 2017 nickels show Jefferson's profile shifted dramatically to one side, with parts of the rim missing or distorted. The more off-center the strike, without losing essential details, the higher the collector value. Then, there are the double die errors, one of the most beloved error types in coin collecting. These occur when the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice, slightly out of alignment. This can cause doubling on letters, numbers, or even Jefferson's face. If you happen to spot a 2017 nickel where the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date, 2017, appear slightly doubled, hold on to it. That's not just a common coin, that's a minting marvel with real collector value. Beyond minting errors, there's another crucial factor that affects the value of the 2017 Jefferson nickel: its condition. In coin grading, condition means everything. Coins are carefully examined under magnification and graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A grade of 70 means the coin is in perfect, flawless condition, with no marks, scratches, or where visible even under intense magnification. For modern nickels like the 2017 only a handful achieve that perfect grade. Those few flawless examples, encapsulated in protective holders by grading services such as PCGS or NGC, are the ones that catch the attention of high-end collectors and auction houses. A pristine, mirror-like finish, sharply defined details, and spotless luster can elevate a 5-cent coin into a highly sought-after collectible. But even circulated coins from 2017 can hold interest if they exhibit unusual features. Collectors often talk about full steps, nickels, coins where the steps on the Monticello building are fully visible and sharply struck. Because these steps are among the most delicate details on the reverse, they're often the first to fade due to weak strikes or circulation wear. A 2017 Jefferson nickel showing complete, undisturbed steps on Monticello can be significantly more valuable than an average example. Let's also take a moment to understand why people collect Jefferson nickels so passionately. For many, these coins aren't just pieces of metal, they're miniature artifacts of American culture. The Jefferson nickel has survived world wars, economic crashes, and redesigns. And since 2006, it's carried a more modern and forward-facing portrait of Jefferson, giving new life to this long-running series. The 2017 represents that modern phase, a sleek, refined design combined with state-of-the-art minting technology. Yet, even in this era of precision, the Denver Mint still managed to produce enough quirks to keep collectors intrigued. What makes the 2017 Jefferson nickel particularly interesting to modern numismatists is how it symbolizes the bridge between circulation coins and collectible art. The Mint continues to strive for perfection, yet human and mechanical imperfections inevitably find their way into production, and those tiny flaws become the very reason these coins are treasured. Imagine, for a moment, searching through your spare change or your jar of nickels at home and spotting a 2017 with an odd shine, an unusual alignment, or doubled letters. What might seem like a small curiosity could actually be your gateway into the exciting world of coin collecting. Some collectors start with just one coin that stands out, only to discover an entire passion, learning about mint marks, error types, and historical significance. And from there, they begin hunting, trading, and even attending coin shows or online auctions. Speaking of auctions, let's talk about the marketplace. Modern U.S. coins, particularly those with errors, can perform surprisingly well in auctions when properly graded and authenticated. Collectors often scour online platforms, estate sales, and coin expos looking for the next hidden gem. A sharp-eyed individual who finds a well-preserved 2017 D nickel with one of the aforementioned errors could see strong bidding interest. It's important to remember that rarity doesn't always mean low mintage numbers. In the case of the 2017 D Jefferson nickel, millions were struck. The rarity lies in the error coins, the pristine mint-state examples, and those few full-step nickels that have survived without the faintest blemish. Each one of those is a rare survivor, a standout in a sea of ordinary coins. Collectors value these not only for their beauty but for the story they tell. A coin like the 2017 D Jefferson nickel reminds us that even in an era of automation and precision, accidents and uniqueness still exist. Every misstrike, every doubled letter, every glint of perfection frozen in nickel and copper gives us a tangible connection to the process of minting itself. When evaluating your own coins, always take care to look closely at both sides under a good light or magnifying glass. Pay attention to the finer details, Jefferson's eye, the rim alignment, the clarity of the inscriptions, and of course, those iconic steps of Monticello. If something looks off or unusually sharp, it could be a valuable clue. There have also been reports among collectors of 2017 D nickels with unusual coloration or toning. Toning refers to the color changes on a coin's surface due to oxidation or environmental exposure. While some toning is common and can lower a coin's value, naturally occurring rainbow or multicolored toning can actually make a coin more desirable, especially if it's evenly distributed and enhances the design's visual appeal. So, if you find a 2017 D nickel that catches light with a golden or bluish tint, it might just be worth a second look. In today's collector market, eye appeal can be as important as technical grading. A beautifully toned, error-free, and perfectly struck Jefferson nickel from 2017 can easily find a home in a collector's showcase. It's fascinating how coins like this remind us of a bigger truth. Value is not just in rarity or age, but in discovery. Every coin you touch has journeyed through hands, pockets, and places, yet only a few become legendary. The thrill lies in uncovering the extraordinary among the ordinary.